Have you ever felt? Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
The Google Pixel 6a. Well, after using it as my main device, I feel the only main issue with this phone is its pricing. And I would say that it's only when we consider the official price in India. It's because the official price in India as of the phone's launch is 44,000 Indian rupees, and that's without doubt in the overpriced category. And I feel if the pricing was somewhere in the 35,000 Indian rupees range, well, then this phone would have surely been the best choice in that segment. Well, it's because this is a great phone. Its design is in line with the new Pixel design format, and it's built in a solid way even though all the materials are not premium. Because here the aluminum frame is great, but the plastic bag, well, based on the in-hand feel, even though it feels like glass, it's not. And the issue with plastic bag is that over time it will be pretty badly scratched up. Now, based on the durability, it won't shatter, which is a plus, but then the front glass used is Gorilla Glass 3, and for that, a tempered glass protector is a must. But as I said, this phone's in-hand feel is solid with proper weight balance, and the size is also kind of perfect. And here, even the buttons are very tactile, and overall, I do like the design and the build quality. Now, the portion where the frame and the back plastic meet is not very seamless, but still overall there isn't much to complain about this design. But then here the design is not the most controversial part of this phone, but it's actually the display. This is a 6.1-inch OLED Full HD panel which refreshes at 60 Hz, and from my experience it's actually a pretty good display. The quality is perfectly fine with not much tinting effect, and for media consumption, gaming or general use, it's immersive. And here the flat sides are a plus, and overall for me I like this display. Now the 60 Hz refresh rate, well, to be frank, it's not an issue. Well, it would have been great if Google used a 90 Hz or a 120 Hz panel, but this one for your daily use, well, you won't be feeling anything odd. Now if you compare it with a higher refresh rate panel, well, then you will notice the slight lags and things, but if you're just gonna use this phone without comparison, then there is nothing to worry about. And for me, from the display side, what I wish was a bit better is the auto rotate and auto brightness responsiveness, and also the peak brightness could have been a bit more brighter. Now in direct sunlight, the display is very much usable, but if it got a tad bit more brighter, it would have been great. Now I think the auto rotate and adaptive brightness responsiveness, well, it can be fixed with an update, and if Google does that, well, then things in the display side will be much better. And here to support the display, the speakers used are great. The speaker setup is the dual speaker setting, and here the audio output is loud and clear. And actually this earpiece is a good one for calls too. And here talking about calls, well, the network reception was issue free. There wasn't any range drop or issues like that, and that's applicable with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi too. Now with the Pixel 6a, the best part is actually not these things, but instead it's the processor used. Google has used their flagship Tensor chip used in the 6 and the 6 Pro, and that does make this phone a pretty snappy one. RAM available is 6 GB, and the storage is 128 GB non-expandable, but it's UFS 3.1, which is good. And here all of this together, as I stated, makes things fast. During my testing time, this phone didn't struggle with app loading, clicking quick snaps, playing graphic intense games, etc. All of it works without hiccups, and also with my unit, there wasn't any heating issue too. Now the heating issue is been a concern for some users, and from my experience, well, I didn't face such a thing. If it's gaming and it's casual, there is literally no heat generation. But with a heavy title, well, after 15 minutes, the side and the back portion does get warm, but it's not like overheating where things become choppy. And that heat generated area, it didn't create any discomfort. And with the camera usage, well, when I recorded a 5-minute 4K 60 FPS video, there wasn't any issue, and same as while taking plenty of photos. There wasn't any overheating, and also the shutter speed and processing speed stayed the same. And about mobile data usage, well, I did test in 5G, and while doing casual stuff like video streaming, social media, well, the phone stayed at normal temperature. So from all this, well, my unit didn't have any heating issue, and I feel if you are facing such a thing, probably it should be a unit issue, and hence if you can replace it, I would suggest to do that. Because from what I've seen, this overheating issue seems to be more of a quality control issue, because my experience is pretty much normal. Now here this processor advantage is a support for the camera system of this phone, and it's a welcome thing because here the main camera is the old sensor which Google has been using for a long time. It's the 12 megapixel sensor seen in the Pixel 4a, 3a and way back, but here this sensor paired with Google's processing even now takes pretty great photos in almost all scenarios. I have taken plenty of photos with the 6a and I never felt disappointed. And I can without doubt say that the Pixel 6a even with this old main sensor is one of the best phones for taking photos. The photos are vibrant and details hold up, and this is applicable even in dull lighting. Now the secondary camera is an ultra wide angle camera and it's a 12 megapixel sensor, and this one is the same one used in the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro, and it also does a good job when the conditions are favorable. Now about video recording, well the main sensor does record decent quality video at a max resolution of 4K at 60 fps, but when you make a comparison with iPhone SE, it's surely gonna blow this phone in video recording side. And also about the front camera, well it's a weak area for this phone. This is a 8 megapixel camera and this one, well for selfies it's fine. You can take decent selfies, but surely there are other better options available. And about video recording, the max resolution supported is 1080p at 30 fps and the output is kinda average. But then as I said, the main camera for photos is really impressive even at the 44,000 Indian rupees price range. And like this, another impressive feature of this phone is the haptics. It's just perfect. This is not a cheap quality vibration feedback, and for that, credit has to be given. And also the battery backup of this phone is good too. Battery capacity is 4410 mAh, and based on my usage, well even if it's a moderately heavy usage day, I was getting approximately 6 hours of screen on time. And during such days, the phone does stay on almost a full day. But then while topping up, the charging speed, it's just fine. There is fast charging support, but it's only up to 18 watts, and hence for charging from 15% to 100%, it takes approximately 1.5 hours. And by the way, you will have to buy or use an old charger because the phone doesn't come with a charging brick. And for everyone in the wireless charging train, well, this phone doesn't support wireless charging, and also there isn't a headphone jack. But for me, both of these things are not much of an issue. Then some of the final things to point out is that the unlocking method is fingerprint unlock, and it's the in-display scanner, and it's just an okay one. It works well, but it's a bit slow. Now with my unit, I didn't face the issue where the phone unlocks even with the unregistered finger. So that issue was not there in my unit. And for the number of SIMs, well you can actually use two, but there is only one physical SIM slot and the other is a eSIM. And yet this phone does have sub-6 5G support and all sensors are present too. And also this phone does have IP67 rating. And lastly, the most striking feature of this phone is 5 years of security update which Google has promised. So I guess that's everything about the Pixel 6a. And actually after using it as my daily driver for some time, well I really like this phone a lot. There are drawbacks, but from a regular smartphone user perspective, this is a great phone. And for everyone in the US and Canada, well for its official pricing, it's a solid option. Now in India, the pricing is way high, but during offer season, if the price drops, well then for sure the Pixel 6a is an easy recommendation. Well that's up for this video. Hope you liked it. If so, a like is much appreciated, and also please don't forget to subscribe to the channel because it does help our channel a lot and you won't miss our future contents. See you again in the next one. Till then, bye.